It's been a while, hasn't it? Oh, we're getting back to Pittsburgh Steelers football. You see, they released the 2019 Pittsburgh Steelers official schedule, and we're going to break down how we going to fare. As you already know, as I do every single year, whenever we introduce this here schedule, I want you to understand what's fixing to happen, because we want to go 23-0, like the Dallas Cowboys fans would say. It don't matter, because we got Ben, we got Connor, Juju Smith-Schuster, Vince Williams, T.J. Watt, we go into the Super Bowl. But that's the Dallas Cowboys gag, so we ain't getting into it right now. But 4 games in the preseason, we fixing to win all them shits. 16 games in the regular season, we fixing to win all of that. 3 games in the postseason, we gonna win that. We can't go to the Pro Bowl, but the Spirit gonna be in the Pro Bowl. The AFC gonna win. We gonna go 24-0 and hoist up Lombardi number 7. But we're not going to do none of that delusional stuff this year. We're going to break stuff down objectively throughout the entire doggone season. We ain't going to talk about the preseason because that's the evaluation sort of period. I really don't want to get into it like that because we're not even going to be sure what our roster's going to be looking like. But let me tell you something. Number 1, for this particular season, who needs to step up and lead the team? Roethlisberger, that's who. You saw the long pause there. I wanted you to read the name out. Some people saying it wrong. People who never watched football before don't know what the Pittsburgh Steelers is all about. Roethlisberger. That's probably why they talking right now, but we ain't talking about that right now. But number 1, week 1, opening night, Sunday night football, prime time, defending Super Bowl champions. Excuse me, let me introduce them the right way. The reigning, defending, undisputed National Football League Super Bowl champion New England Patriots, and that damn thorn in our side, Tom Brady, hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers. Last time we traveled to Foxborough for the opening night, I believe it was 2015. D'Angelo Williams had a very good game. We still happen to lose. All right, now, playing in Foxborough is no joke. It's hard to beat these dudes when they at home. I think last year they went undefeated at home. I don't think they lost at home last year. So, walking into Foxborough, I don't think Pittsburgh has won in Foxborough since, 2008 when Matt Castle was the starting quarterback? Last time we was in Foxborough, we lost, the AFC Championship. They always play good there. However, I'm feeling very confident. I'm feeling very confident about this game because Pittsburgh needs to start the season against some very tough opponents, because whenever Pittsburgh plays against their best sort of opponents, they play up to the competition. When they play against terrible opponents, they play down to the competition. I'm going to throw out a bold prediction. I think Pittsburgh's going to walk into Foxborough and win. Now, I understand it's something that's a rarity. It's not something that's very common. However, New England always starts out their seasons very slow. I don't know what the deal is. Usually they'll start out with a win, they'll lose one, then they'll win one, they'll lose 1, 2-2, 1-2. Last couple of years, that seems to be the case. Well, outside of 2014, but we ain't talking about their seasons right now. We talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm interested to see how we'll use our offense. I'm not concerned about our offense. Our defense is where my concern comes in, because our linebacking core isn't as strong. All right, our front 4. I'm confident in our front 4. Secondary, I don't really like our safeties. Hopefully we can start to play, better. We need to get another corner outside of Joe Hayden. I like Mike Hilton in the slot. I'm interested to see how they're going to flex him around the defense. But I think we can win this game against New England. When the time comes, we can get more in-depth with the analysis. But I think it's a possibility they could beat New England. But it's really a toss-up. I'm leaning with the optimism. I'm going to say they're going to walk into New England, walk out with a W. Week 2. Taking on the Seattle Seahawks at home. All right, I'm pointing at home, although I'm not in Pittsburgh. But regardless, my spirit will be in the land of Ketchup Heinz Field as we open up and host our home opener against the Seattle Seahawks. This game is going to be a W, because when you play in Heinz Field, it's a season opener. There happens to be high energy. Guys come out and they play their best type of football. More importantly, Seattle going on the road is not the same Seattle that plays at home. And I don't really like the offensive line for Seattle. Their run game is very weird. Last year they played very well down the stretch, but they started the season out completely abysmal trying to run the football. We'll see how things play out with who they draft or who they have starting at running back at this time. Again, when we get to the time, we'll break down the analysis. But I think Pittsburgh can win this game because on paper, they have the better roster. And defensively, if you're able to nullify that run, you make Russell Wilson become one-dimensional and constantly have to throw the football, and him having to hold on to the football. Granted, this man's a wizard when he's in the pocket, or hell, getting out of the pocket at that. Our front 4, you got some good outside linebackers who can get to the quarterback. I think they could possibly go ahead and win this game. Another good game between these both, or I should say another elite team for Pittsburgh to take on. Although Seattle's not really that elite as they used to be, but it's a big time name. You got big time players, so I expect Pittsburgh to play at their peak. Next, traveling to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. Now this game over here, it's one of them trap game sort of situations, all right? Early in the season, teams start to feel full of themselves. At this point, with my prediction with Pittsburgh, winning a game in New England, then winning a game at home, and now having to go back on the road. And just look at the traveling, all right? So you went from Massachusetts, then you went to Pittsburgh, and then now you're flying West Coast to go take on the San Francisco 49ers. This game over here, I'm not going to give them a loss because on paper, they got the better squad. However, I think it's going to be one of those tough, gritty games that come down to the toe of the kicker. If that's going to be Boswell, we fixing to find out, granted, on how he performs in the preseason. But I think it's going to be one of those, last-second field goals to win this game. But I think Pittsburgh can walk into, I was going to say Candlestick Park, but walk into Levi Stadium and walk out with a W and going into Week 4 at 3-0. Then, taking on the Cincinnati Bengals, primetime Monday Night Football, I'm very confident they're going to win this game. All right? Because Pittsburgh does not lose to Cincinnati. More importantly, they're playing at home. It's prime time. Pittsburgh in prime time plays very well. And they happen to, Cincinnati, they're in a rebuilding sort of period. I'm interested to see how things play out now that they no longer have Marvin Lewis. But I think Pittsburgh wins this game. We're starting out the first half of the season 4-0. Then we're hosting the Baltimore Ravens. This game's a toss-up because I don't think Pittsburgh's going to sweep the division, or I should say, defeat Baltimore twice. I think what's going to happen is going to beat Baltimore on the road, lose to Baltimore at home. I think this particular game at home in Week 5 probably take an L. But it truly does depend on how Baltimore looks, because defensively you did lose a Weddle. You did lose a C.J. Mosley, and there was a couple other names that are there. I can't remember right now. But offensively, I want to see how things play out with Lamar Jackson. But you did add a Earl Thomas on the defensive side. You did add a Mark Ingram in the backfield. So, and on top of that, Lamar Jackson, you know how he looks as dual threat quarterback, although he's not really throwing as well. But that run game is something serious. So we'll see how things play out. But I'm going to give Pittsburgh an L over here because we're due to get one divisional loss. Then traveling to go to Los Angeles to take on the Chargers. W. Redemption song. All right, somebody called Bob Marley. Redemption song. The Steelers coming. That's what's going to happen because they're going to walk in there, and I'm telling you right now, it's not fixing to be a close game at all. I think Pittsburgh walks in there and they make this a statement game. Coming off of a divisional loss against Baltimore at your own house, you go on the road back out to Los Angeles. Although the jet lag has to be taken into consideration because you're going back from what was considered pretty much like the East Coast, then you're going right back out to the West Coast. There's a lot of back and forth that's going on right now, but I'm going to go ahead and give Pittsburgh the W over here. So we're sitting at 5-1. No, is that 4-1? 4-1. Look at I can't add. No, actually, no, that's 5-1. You start 4-0, and then you lose to the rate. Yeah, that's 5-1. What's wrong with me? See, this is why I don't have notes. I'll be confused as a mother. All right, so then next we got a bye, Week 7, much needed bye around the middle of the season. That's why I love to have our byes. Not traveling. We're staying at home, take on the Miami Dolphins. W. All right. Now, this could be a situation like 2016 where you saw Jay Ajayi come in and run for 200 yards plus on the defense. I believe we were on the road for that particular game. But I'm confident Pittsburgh will be able to regroup because coming off of byes, Pittsburgh doesn't really lose that often. Mike Tomlin usually able to galvanize, the troops and really get them focused coming out of byes. So I'm going to give them a W. Then you got the Indianapolis Colts at home. Very, very intriguing game. The Colts, offensively, their offensive line is very, very stout. I'm interested to see if we'll be able to get to Andrew Luck because ultimately our defense is going to have to be able to win this game. I am confident offensively we'll be able to move the ball up and down the field, but if we cannot stop them, that's going to be a problem. But we're going to be playing at home, and I think that's what's going to be the difference maker. I'm giving us a W. That would put us at 7-1. Then we're at home for the Los Angeles Rams. That's interesting. All right, wow, that's 3 straight home games. Okay, that's interesting. Home for the Los Angeles Rams, I'm going to give us a loss. Because I think whenever we get to the point in which you're 8-1 or you're 7-1 and you have those sort of records, in the history of the Pittsburgh Steelers, we start to get lax. We take our foot off the gas. I think Los Angeles walks in, punches us in the mouth. All right, it's going to be one of them situations where we rank like top 5 in the power rankings, and all of a sudden now the people start to question if we're good. You have all those other fans come out, yo, they overrated. I think we lose to the Los Angeles Rams, dropping us to 7-2. Then traveling to take on the Cleveland Browns. W. It's not your mama's Browns. It's not your daddy's Browns. All right, this ain't the same Browns from the last 25 years. These look on paper to be very capable. However, I'm interested to see how they'll look on the field, because a lot of people are crowning them before you even play the snap. You got all this talent, but understand, power corrupts. So we'll see how things play out. On top of this, Baker Mayfield ain't never had no pressure like this. Granted, oh yeah, he was a walk-on at when he was at Oklahoma. You know, he's a walk-on when he was at Texas Tech. Or I think it was a walk-on at Texas Tech and transferred to Oklahoma. Somebody fact check me in the comment section on the history of Baker Mayfield. But you got Odell, you got Jarvis. Well, they were teammates in college, so this will work out. They weren't Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry in college. They were guys trying to prove themselves. They're established as top 10 receivers in the league. So I want to see if Odell's going to be comfortable with Jarvis Landry catching 11 balls for 148 yards and a touchdown, while he only gets about 7 targets, 3 catches for 42 yards and no scores. I want to see if it flip-flops the same way. If Odell has a game in which he has 12 catches, 187 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Jarvis only got about 4 targets, 2 catches for 12 yards, is there going to be any sort of situation in which they blow up in the locker room? Can Baker Mayfield, usurp, or I should say, step over that the sophomore slump that happens to hit a ton of these players that have all these leaping expectations? On top of that, Cleveland has never seen a winning season since 2007. They ain't been to the playoffs since 2002. People are projecting them to win the playoff, or I should say win their division, host a damn playoff game, and possibly contend for a Super Bowl. These fans are way out of their minds. People not even looking towards, hey, let's just have a winning record. They talk about Super Bowl or bust. They talk about AFC North champs or bust. So there's a lot of pressure, and I don't know if Cleveland can exude the confidence to back up what the people are talking about. But granted, I could be wrong, but I doubt it. I'm giving us a W playing in Paul Brown Stadium. Then traveling to Cincinnati, or I should say we remain in Ohio. OHIO, the Bengals gonna win? Hell no, we defeating the Cincinnati Bengals again. All right, season sweep of the Bengals. Moving, at this point, I believe we'd be 9-2. We enter week 13. Browns coming to play against Pittsburgh. I think over here, we take an L. The Browns get us. All right, I think we're going to win over there. We're going to lose in our crib. I think they're going to get us. It's going to be one of those, if you remember that old Ravens game where I think it was it TJ? I can't remember who it was, but Joe Flacco threw a game-winning touchdown. I think it was to Lee Evans or something like that. I can't recall what year it was, but I think Pittsburgh's going to have the lead all the way through, midway through the fourth quarter, be up by 10, and then we blow the lead, and ultimately dropping us down to 9-3. So I think we take a loss there, hosting the Browns, traveling to Arizona to take on the Cardinals. This is a trap game here. This is a trap game here. You should go in there and thump the Cardinals, but it's going to come down to a last possession. Initially, I had us losing this game, but I don't think we're going to lose back-to-back games this season. All right, I think what's going to happen is we're going to go to Arizona. We're going to get punched in the mouth. We're going to be down, and then Big Ben is going to bring us back. All right, it's going to be very similar to what you saw this past season against Jacksonville. I think that's going to be the case, but we walk out with a W, 10-3. Week 15. Taking on the Bills, hosting the Bills, W. All right, that's a W, statement W. I think we win by 3 touchdowns, moving on to 11-3, traveling to take on the Jets. I will be at this game. As a matter of fact, I'm making it imperative that I'm at this game, all right? So, me in attendance, I want to say I'm a good luck child, but winning this doggone game, because the Jets ain't going to come out here. It's going to be later in the season. They're going to know where they're going, so probably they're going to have to play the role of spoiler, but I think Pittsburgh walks away with the W, because the Jets might try to game plan this more, hey, let's make this all about Le'Veon Bell, but I'm interested to see what's going to transpire with Sam Darnold, but I think he throws 2. I'll put up 3 fingers. I think he throws 2 interceptions. 1 gets returned for a pick 6. I don't know which corner or which linebacker or which D lineman or which safety catches the pick 6 for us, but I think we go in to the Meadowlands with me in attendance. And I see the Pittsburgh Steelers walk away with a W. We're sitting at 12-3 here. And finally, traveling to the Baltimore Ravens for the final game of the season. And I'm extremely ecstatic that this just so happens to be the final game of the season for the Pittsburgh Steelers, because we haven't seen Pittsburgh take on Baltimore in the last game of the season in quite some time. And I think what we do, we go in there, we walk out with a W. Not only do we cement ourselves as the AFC North champions, because we would have already had that crown beforehand, because I don't think Baltimore is going to only lose 3 games or 4 games. I think they're going to be around maybe like a 10-6 or 9-7 sort of situation. But we'll break that down later on. But I think we walk in there, we walk out with a W. We're 13-3. I don't know if we're going to be number 1 in the AFC, because the Patriots have much more of a favorable schedule. But yeah, I think we're going to be 13-3. I think that's what our peak is going to be. Worst case scenario, we end the season 11-5. I don't think we should lose more than 5 games this particular season. And those losses being the Patriots, that's a give or take sort of situation. We're going to lose to Baltimore once. We're going to lose to Cleveland once. We're going to lose to the Rams. That's 4. And then the other team in which I said we would lose to, I am forgetting where they are at. I will try to find them. And possibly the Chargers. That one being 5. I think that'll be the situation. All right, so you got the Browns, Ravens, Patriots, Chargers, and however forgotten already. You see, this is why I don't like to do stuff like that. Good Lord. All right, there's a lot of thinking. There's a lot of scrolling. All right, I'm complete. Let's try this again. All right, so we got the Patriots. All right, the Ravens, Browns, Chargers, Rams. That's 5. Yeah. So those 5. Those teams, probably, those are the tough games that you might mess around and lose. And there's always a wild card with Arizona. But I see Pittsburgh going to the playoffs, okay? So this particular year, understand, it's not really the easiest of schedules. But I remember watching a Pittsburgh Steelers team in 2008 have the toughest schedule in the league, go 12-4, and hoist up a Lombardi. Tom Brady was hurt. I don't want to hear it. You play who the hell shows up, all right? So, Steelers. Let's get our heads out of our ass. Let's bounce back, because everybody else has us under the radar right now. Nobody's talking about us. We got people talking about, well, they don't got no Le'Veon Bell. I don't think they'd be capable on the ground. Well, we saw James Conner be a Pro Bowler last year. Well, Antonio Brown's not there no more. Juju Smith-Schuster's not a true number 1 receiver. He's going to get doubled left and right. Ben's not going to be able to get him the ball. His production's not going to be where we expect it to be. That's magnificent, because understand something. You double Juju Smith-Schuster, you're leaving a Vance McDonald one-on-one. You double Juju Smith-Schuster, you're leaving an emerging James Washington one-on-one. You double Juju Smith-Schuster, you got an Eli Rogers who's a very good route runner in the slot one-on-one. So basically what we got to do is go out there and diversify the ball, and I expect Big Ben to go out there and throw 4,500 yards. We don't need 5,000 yards from Big Ben, but we'll talk about that in a later video after the draft. Probably right before the preseason, so I can give my analysis on how I think the season should go. But basically, for this particular year, 13-3 at the top, 11-5 at the bottom. We're going to be in between those, and I believe we're going to get ourselves a first-round bye. So I'm hoping to see Pittsburgh go hoist up that Lombardi, because this year, I said it last year, where I said, man, we had a couple of years with our window closing with those players, but for some apparent reason, seeing Antonio Brown leave, seeing Le'Veon Bell leave, and just seeing how the locker room is being taken back to what Pittsburgh Steelers football used to be about. You're letting all the divas go. You're letting go of all this other external sort of situations going on. Big Ben said he ain't going to do the radio show no more. Mike Tomlin seems to want to be more assertive with the team. Guys really want to prove themselves. And you got yourself a motivated team, man, you could go very far, you know, in this league. So I'm interested to see how things play out. But that's my prediction. You let me know where you think we're going to be in the comment section. And if you're not a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, feel free to tell us, how you think we're going to fare too. Because a lot of people talk about, hey, they're not going to have a winning record, man. Pittsburgh ain't have a losing record since what, 2003? It's been a long time, man. It's been a long time since Pittsburgh had a losing record. More importantly, take a good look at the history of the Pittsburgh Steelers, because a lot of people don't really pay attention. In the 70s, top 5 in wins. All right, in the 80s, not so much. In the 90s, I think we were like 2 wins away from being top 5. I think it was like 93, and then somebody had, number 5 had like 95. But a lot of people were tied. In the 2000s, we were top 5. 2010s, we're top 5. In fact, we're number 2. All right, so Pittsburgh knows how to win. It's kind of like the San Antonio Spurs. You're always hanging around. Now, Pittsburgh has times in which we underachieve. Oh, without question. But we have a resilient bunch, so I expect to see them go out there and play effective football. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Here we go, Steelers. Let's break it down. Steelers on 3, win on 6. 1, 2, 3, Steelers. 4, 5, 6, win. Here we go, baby. Stay away to 7.